Yes, great. Might as well diving right into it. Lovely intellectual discussion on the human race and how they would act.
It's kind of appropriate.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is actually. It is actually very, very appropriate. So I'm not sure. I'll just start off from here, but I think just to like recap a little bit, we just started off talking about pre-pandemic night clubbing and like who we are or who we were back then, because very, very relevant to this week's episode. And also the theme of this month or throughout October. Yes, we should definitely welcome our listeners. So welcome to Kanpai Chronicles. I forgot to do that. I forgot, completely slipped my mind. Yokoso to a spooky Halloween themed episode. Sadly, I don't have any, I don't have my costumes. I don't know if you have yours from last time. And but I don't have mine. I think it's like somewhere else. But yes, welcome to Kanpai Chronicles with your host Norman and
Holly. I don't have a costume, but I kind of, let me move my mic. I kind of wore a little skull shirt.
Nice.
That's themed.
Yeah, you came in prepared. You came in with a uniform.
I
did not come in with anything.
Fucking slacking.
Yeah, because I don't remember what happened to my costumes. So I had two. One was this, like, I think I was like some sort of zombie host. Like it was like a white colored suit and it had like blood on it. So I had zombie paint or something. Yeah. But then it really wasn't convincing in terms of my zombie look because it was just basically a shitty loose suit. And then I was just dancing in that. And then the other one was because I took a trip later on to Tokyo again during October, during Halloween. I bought like a monk or priest outfit, like blackish in color, and then I bought a lightsaber, and I was trying to be like a Sith Lord or something. But then the outfit looked so bad. I actually looked like I was going to go to a monastery, and then I just happened to have a lightsaber with me. It just looked so atrocious. So I threw that away immediately. I kept the lightsaber, but like I threw away that other costume immediately.
You're not gonna expose yourself?
No. I'm not trying to be accurate with my costume, okay?
No. I'm talking about a third secret costume that I explicitly recall. But I don't want to shame you. If you don't want to be shamed.
Oh my, no, I actually forgot about that. Oh, and I don't mind. We can bring it up. It's okay. It's not like we're gonna bring pictures, right? Wait, are we? I need to find it. I don't have it with me on hand right now, but yes, actually,
I should go through your social media and save a bunch of
fuck you.
And then I'll have like a secret Twitter of like the other side of Norman.
No, it's just like a secret. No, it's just posted on at Kanpai Chronicles. It's just like all their we just post on Twitter.
That'd be a good idea, actually. We haven't done anything with our Twitter.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be good to like post some like photos of back in the day.
Yeah, like we'll probably do like tweets and tweet threads on specific pictures related to the episodes. Like, oh, this story from this episode is from this picture where we did whatever. I think that'd be cool.
Maybe I'll do that this weekend. Maybe I'll work on our Twitter.
Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah. Totally long-winded introduction.
Yeah, sorry.
But yes, no. I think it's okay. I think people listening in can forgive us because we're sort of full on, easily distracted like that. We can go into tangents really, really easily. This episode is about Halloween. It's about the lovely world of trick-or-treating and ghost stories, etc. But I think one way to look at this is our experiences of Halloween, like where we've experienced it, in our own context, as well as Halloween in Japan, which is fundamentally very, very different. So this is going to be a very contrasting episode, I must say, because I was researching for this and I didn't want to be biased by my own experiences only. So I was just like, okay, am I missing anything? And then it turns out that it was quite consistent with what we saw or what we witnessed in Halloween in Japan. With that being said, I think we should start off with an element of Halloween, which is the demons within us. So I think, is it it's your turn to showcase the demon for this week, right? The yokai of the week.
Yes, the yokai of the week. I actually tried to look up specifically some like super creepy ones for Halloween. Usually I'll just random, but I was like, no, let's find a creepy one. Like, and so the one that I came across for this week is one you absolutely don't want to run into because no matter what, you're basically fucked. Okay. And this yokai is Kuchisake Onna.
Kuchisake Onna.
Kuchi, like mouth.
Kuchi. Okay. Kuchi.
Yeah, so basically the translation of that is like slit-mouthed woman. Because her mouth is kind of like Joker style if you're into like Batman, like slit at the ends, upper cheeks. And so when I was reading about her, basically, it's in the lore that her husband actually like did this to her. So they say that a lot of like specifically women, like abused wives, tortured people, stuff like that, a lot of them can become like Kuchisake Onnas. And they're creepy. They're supposed to be like really beautiful, and they walk around in kind of these like kimono and stuff inside, like dark alleys and stuff like that. And typically when they approach you, they'll be covering like their mouths, like lower half of their face. And they'll come up to you and they will ask you like, oh, do you think I'm beautiful? And say watashi kirei. And if you answer yes to her, she'll reveal her like mouth, which is still supposed to just be like dripping and almost like freshly like slit. And she'll like ask you again, like kore demo, kind of like what about now? And so if you like scream and freak out or like say no or anything, she'll just like kill you on the spot. And if you're somehow able to like keep your calm and be like, oh no, like I still like think you're beautiful, that says like she'll leave you alone, like she'll like walk away seemingly, but actually she'll be like stalking you and come to your home and like murder you in the night.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I do remember hearing about this particular yokai at one point, only in the story that I heard, and I think the yokai.com, I think it brings it up somewhere in its thing. But the story that I had heard was if you like don't answer her, like if you just ignore her and like pretend like you don't see her, there are some versions of the story that she'll like leave you alone. Or if you like give her candy, because apparently that's like her like favorite snack. She likes hard candy. If you give her candy, she'll leave you alone, or you can like at least kind of like escape because she'll be distracted. But it seems like there's different versions of the story. But yeah, so that is the Kuchisake Onna. And I was like, damn. Yeah. And I thought it kind of fit because I don't know if it was, I didn't look into it too extensively, but it's almost kind of like a trick or treat situation there. Like,
yeah,
give this chick some candy or get your throat slit.
Yeah, it's like the options given when you're saying trick or treat, except you might die. But then like the way that it's presented, it's like even if you say yes, you still might die. Mm-hmm. Which I guess is just like a distrust of saying like, oh, if you say yes to her, she'll think you're lying and then she'll still kill you. Which is insane. Like I feel like if I were to meet someone and then there's a masked woman who's like, do you think I'm pretty? I'd probably just be like, I don't know if you're pretty because you're wearing a mask. And yeah, that's not really enough to tell, right? You never know how people are. We got a lot of face filter apps these days. You don't know how people are looking. Oh my god,
yeah, right? Yeah.
So like they take their mask and then they see this, and I probably die. Like I think the one tell is that the flinch you get or you do when she asks the question or where she shows herself, right? I think that flinch is enough to compel the ghost to be like, Yeah, you finna dead, right? You're about to like, yeah, you're about to get the shank, right? Or I don't know how she kills you. Is it by knife, or is it?
I think
Just
so. I think it just says like slaughter. Oh, so it says like if for her like second question, if you like freak out or you just say no, it says that she'll slash you from ear to ear in an imitation of her own mutilation. So
okay.
she'll splice you up.
Damn.
And then if she like follows you home, it just says that she will slaughter you brutally.
Damn. Some graphic shit. Holy shit. Now the thing is, I am aware of this yokai mainly because of, this is gonna sound really weeb, but like anime and manga.
Right.
Because sometimes like it's a very, I don't want to say popular yokai because there's no such thing as a popular yokai. It's not like people are ranking it like who's hot or whatever, but it's more like it's a very well-known yokai in terms of the number of references or impact on current narratives and stories. And I even remember like one manga I read recently, which is like a romance manga, and then the main female lead is a kuchisake onna, and then the guy falls for her, and then she's trying to learn how to be a human being because she got that mutilation, but then she's like, oh, I don't trust men anymore, so I killed him. But then he's like, oh, I love you, and she's like, ah, so no, whatever,
Right.
Which is totally trash manga, but still, it's one example of the impact of this yokai, and how even if you don't know the name, as soon as you see a picture of like a beautiful Japanese lady with the slit extending from the mouth all the way up to the ear, I think you know the implication. I definitely know this from so long, and I think from like a young age as well, even after looking at Japanese stuff, still scares the living shit out of me. Not gonna lie. Definitely not gonna lie. Oh my goodness. But reading this now, so there's these interactions, and then there's the origin, like from mutilation, etc. How do you think this ghost would fare in like modern Japan? Because people, like, you'd have to bump into them like randomly in the middle of the night, right? So that's like one way. But then when I was looking at this article on this yokai, I was like, do ghosts innovate in trying to scare people? Do they like go on Tinder and then like
oh my god,
and then you have to swipe left or right, but then if you answer, it's like instant death because you swipe right and then it's a lie and then to kill you later, and like you swipe left and it's like, oh, there's a slit.
Oh my god, imagine. It's like, because a lot of like Japanese media and stuff, like movies and anime and everything, they have like all those like haunted chainmail things.
Yeah.
That would be a good fucking story though, if like fucking Kuchisake Onna like infiltrated Tinder and dating apps. and so like no one knows why. They're just like, the only thing the boys had in common was that they were all on Tinder.
The spiritual world app developers build an app to connect their ghosts to make a profile on Tinder.
That would actually, and because also it's like not uncommon that a lot of people, I don't know about other Asian countries, but in Japan they won't show like their whole face on like certain social medias. So that'd be pretty actually a great place for her to find like victims. Like it wouldn't be odd to see like a profile of a girl maybe covering like half her face.
Yeah, I would say that like once upon a time I did try dating apps before in different countries, and in Malaysia, Australia, and Japan. In Japan, there were way more profiles with people covering their faces, and also those with like heavy filters to like beautify their face.
Yeah.
And I think that aspect is quite prevalent in Asian countries, definitely. But the covered part, like wearing a mask, etc., just to showcase the pretty eyes or whatever it is, that was way more prevalent in Japan from what I saw. while everybody else is just like, oh, okay, yes, you do have those angles, you do have those filters, etc.
Right.
But you show the face, right? You still show the
Yeah.
face, and then you have those general like Tinder stuff that happens. So I would say, like, if you're a ghost, like, shout outs to our slit mouth women audiences, listeners listening to the show. If you're interested in getting some more victims, I think Tinder is a good place. Tinder in Japan. And then you could just like pull them in that way. Not that I'm advocating for death here. I'm just saying if I were a ghost,
an accessory.
If I were a ghost, right? I'm not an accomplice to murder. I'm just saying, I was recording on the episode.
Hypothetically, if I were a ghost, this would be a yeah.
Oh my god, that actually affected. Like, I'm thinking of. I don't know what rating what tier you're gonna put this lady on. That actually affected my tier now. Like my impression of this lady, because it seems quite powerful already back then, but then now, if you just give them the tools to like set up shop online, they would just like kill everybody. It's be insane. I would actually put this pretty high up, actually.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, probably even the like S, because like I said, like, if you meet this yokai, like, you're just fucked. Like, I feel like this is one that you would absolutely want to avoid at like all cost. And then if you modernize her, it's like unfucking stoppable. Like, hopefully if you saw like someone in like a nice kimono like in public and you're having doubts like, oh, that could be, the slit-mouthed woman, you could at least maybe try to like avoid like her path, if you see her from like a distance, maybe like avoid the interaction and save yourself. But if you're just swiping on Tinder and if that's like what she's going off of, then it's like, nope, no, because you don't have a choice. You can't just like ignore something. You have to swipe like left or right, don't you?
Yeah.
And oh my god, I want like Anime Studio to pick that up. I want to see this like brought to life.
Ghost that
but then have some like twist, like really she's just like lonely and looking for love, but she just can't escape like her nature. It'll have some deep undertone meanings in it.
Oh my goodness. So another thing actually that would justify it being S tier, and maybe we've brought it up with other yokai before, is that she looks very, very human, and that would bring your guard down like a lot. If I was walking back home and I'd see a woman like approaching me, and I wouldn't like, the first thing I wouldn't think of the situation as a threat. Like, I would be wary, but I wouldn't be like, oh, this is gonna be a ghost that's going to instantly kill me if I say anything. Definitely. Like, if I saw Shirime, obviously I'm gonna be like, oh no, right? Or if I see that stupid monkey, I'm gonna be like, oh no, right? I need to get away from the water. Yeah. Or hot waterfall daddy. I'd probably just be like seduced to bits, and I wouldn't know what happened. But if it's a woman, like if a beautiful woman in a kimono were to walk towards me and ask me something, like, I wouldn't know that her saying something to me is immediately the trap I'm meant to avoid. And that scares the living shit out of me, because if I become, shall we say, obsessed with this information, I would just be paranoid about everybody I meet. Yeah. So that's like that psychological part of it that will kill me. So yeah, I'd probably put this as S tier as well.
Nice.
Okay. We are growing the tier list one by one. We've got like 4 now. Yeah, 4. If I, to my mind, if I remember correctly. Oh my goodness. Slit mouth woman. Also very, very relevant to this episode, which is a great point, like you said, because I think I've seen this kind of like makeup on on girls as they're cosplaying in Halloween. So, it fits really, really well. Oh God. Let me just close this article because it even
you're like, no more, please.
Yeah. Let's put that aside. Righto. Okay. Halloween. Now, as a young Malaysian boy, my relationship with ghosts, superstitions, haunted shit, we've already covered a little bit of it in the spirits episode. Because basically that's where the tier list came from, that episode.
Right.
But I grew up with that surrounding me as well. Coming from a native tribe, we have skulls hung in front of our door, and that was just normalized to me. So anything that is relatively tangible, I'm not that afraid. But then when it comes to the supernatural things like some of my senses just cannot discern or determine, I would freak out like shit. So when I heard Halloween the first time, I actually never knew about Halloween until I moved to Europe. So I never really knew about Halloween at all when I was in Malaysia. And I guess that's just because we just we have this connotation with ghosts just all year round. So it's sort of a little bit different. But in Europe, that's when I started learning about Halloween. But enough about me. How did you start getting to know Halloween? Like, do you have like an early memory of that?
I feel like being like born and growing up like in America, it was always like there. So I don't remember like a specific like year being like, this is Halloween. Like I feel that it was just there was never something that I was like, oh, okay. Just every year people like dress up and you go trick-or-treating. But I do remember times like learning like more things like about Halloween. When I was younger, I had like a pretty difficult time separating like fiction and reality. So as I got older and you're more like self-aware of like stuff that is going on around you, Halloween in America is when a lot of like scary movies and stuff will start playing like on the TV. And one of the themes that a lot of people like is like a killer that's going around on Halloween, just because everybody's dressed up. You can't discern like who from what. So I feel like a lot of horror movies or horror episodes of things, crime shows and stuff like that, they'll take place on Halloween. So there was a time where I was actually kind of like scared around Halloween. Like I really thought like, oh, this is when all the like murderers come out and they're gonna like get me. For the kind of like spiritual aspect, again, because with my like mom's side, things were very like spiritual and like mythical and things like that. And my sister and I think I talked about it in the other episode. Like we had just a lot of those kind of like weird experiences, kind of like supernatural feeling experiences. So I always believed in like ghosts and things like that. And I think it was my mom that taught me about like Day of the Dead. And how like this certain time that falls around Halloween, you know, like the veil between both worlds is really like thin. And so, you know, ghosts and stuff can come and you can interact with like ancestors and things like that. And for some reason, like that really like comforted me about like Halloween. Versus because I'm fucking weird, but like so instead of thinking yeah, I saw your face.
I was just surprised. I didn't say anything. I swear.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but so I kind of started to enjoy like Halloween time a lot more because I stopped seeing it as like creepy psycho killers like running around on the street, and I started thinking of it like this wholesome, like, oh, the spirits are like coming to like hang out and like just, you know, be like on earth and amongst us again and maybe like see family and stuff like that. So that's kind of like a thing that I've kept, like now when like Halloween and stuff comes, like it's fun to like dress up and do those things. But I also like to think of it a lot on that like Day of the Dead sort of like spiritual belief. Yeah.
Oh, it's a lovely way to connect that. Like I never knew about Day of the Dead ever growing
No?
up. So yeah, like I didn't know anything about that when I was in Europe or in Malaysia. In Malaysia we have specific days. It's according to it's part of like Chinese subculture where you would make a fire in front of your house and the smoke would scare away the ghosts, things like that. So there are specific days. There are like auspicious days where basically it's like a weather forecast for when is it most haunted. It's a bit like that, right? I don't know how else to describe it. Like every time my friends would try to explain to me like, why do you do that, and they would try to explain it, I'd be like, this is like a weather forecast except you're trying to not to get ghosts in your house, right? That's just how
Right.
I understood it. But anyway, that's how it's designed there in Malaysia. And then when I heard about Halloween, it was at first the same as you. Like it was painting any form of spiritual connection with the day Halloween as some form of apparition out to get me. Like there's a murderer, there's like some revenge, or there's some form of anger, or some kind of there's some kind of avenger or some kind of ghost that if I make contact, it would kill me, or it will damage me in some way. And I'm like, why are you celebrating this? This sounds ridiculous. But then you watch like movies, etc., and you're like, oh, people are going trick or treating. I never went trick or treating at all until I went to Europe, and that was when the neighborhood started to go trick or treating. It was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and I realized just how I realized that yes, it is meant to be a day that is taken in a very lighthearted manner. Like you take the theme of horror and then you paint a very thin layer over a celebratory day. So we're not really meant to take those kind of horror stuff very, very seriously. So I never really knew anything about the deeper spiritual connection aspect, which is, closer to Day of the Dead, because I've always put it as 1-to-1. And then once they're blended it together, it becomes hard to dissociate like spirituality from a very empowering standpoint or a very meaningful standpoint, and like Friday the 13th or like Freddy in my dreams or some shit, right? It's gonna like fuck me up. So it just became really hard to discern that. So yeah, it was kind of weird. I didn't really know anything about that. And like I've always thought of it as a very Western thing, just because of that connect. So I've always looked at it, oh, this is what British people do, because I went to British school. Oh, this is what British people do. Okay, let's just be like the British just for like for those couple of years. So that was pretty interesting.
Over in like the UK and stuff, I don't know much about how they celebrate like the holidays. Do they do Devil's Night there also?
Devil's Night? I've never heard of that before.
In the States, they have Devil's Night, which is like the night before Halloween. And that's supposed to be the night you like go out and like do like pranks and like trickster like sort of stuff. And I remember for I think a couple years there when I was a kid, I was like terrified, like on Devil's Night, like thinking like that's when someone was going to like come into my home and like kill me. So I would just be like making sure like all the doors and windows and stuff were locked like every Devil's Night. Like, oh my God.
As a prank?
Well, again, because it's like the movies and stuff I would like see around like those times. And so I would think like, oh, this shit happens and like it's not gonna be me. But then like as you get older and stuff, I'm like, oh, it's just like a bunch of kids running around like egging houses and shit like that. But Yeah, I was quite the paranoid youngster around Halloween time.
To be fair, I was also very paranoid because I don't know if they referred to it as Devil's Night, but when I was staying in Holland, they I think they just referred to it as like Hallows Eve. I think that's the name, like the day before Halloween. And there were pranksters. I think like a house maybe a few doors down from ours got TP'd. And then there was just a whole bunch of like toilet paper running all across the thing. And then they had to clean it up. It's something I'm like, because I remember seeing that kind of thing in the movies. And I was like, oh, this is just a trope in the movies. They're not going to actually do this in real life. And then I saw that. And then the very first thing that came to my mind was, God, that must suck to clean up after, because they're not going to be doing it. That's one. And the second one is, I hope that doesn't happen to my house because I don't want my family to be angry about it. Because yeah, so that's like the second thing. But then the third thought I had was when I saw it from a distance, because I would walk past by the house sometimes, and I think like the day after I was taking a walk, and I saw like maybe like the father or whoever it is like taking a ladder to take down the toilet paper from the roof or whatever it is. I was just like, damn, they threw hard. Like they really threw it. Like it's a tall house. Yeah, they're like these kids, like they trained for this shit. They went to the gym and then they like
all year just like lifting weights.
Pumping iron. It's just like 20 kilo toilet paper. It's insane. There's so much. It was pretty insane. Yeah. So, and fast forward a couple of years, and I guess we've both ingrained this narrative of Halloween being a very celebratory standpoint in terms of yes, there's a bedrock of horror, but there's the celebratory part of it, and then there's the prank part of it. Okay, so what's your did you get a culture shock when you saw Halloween in Japan?
Oof. Well, first, before we like get onto that, I want to see if like, because like how did Halloween like get to Japan,
Right.
So I was curious if our like research in the matter like lined up. I actually couldn't find on my end like anything like too definitive. So I think what I was reading, it was saying like first off, like they have like Tokyo Disney. And I think it was 96 or 97. They did like their first kind of like Halloween event. And I think it was the characters and stuff they would like dress up like they do like over in the West. And so Tokyo Disney kind of started that, like introducing that. And it was like a great hit with people. They would come dressed up and stuff like that. And so the article I was reading kind of talked about like other influences. So that was kind of like what started it. So in like the early 2000s, it really started like picking up. And of course, at like this time, you have like the internet and everything is getting popular. There's more like globalization going on. So a lot of like younger Japanese like kids and young adults and stuff, they're learning more English. They're getting introduced to more like westernized things. And then I think they also discussed kind of like marketing strategies. We've talked about this a few times in our podcasts about how seasonally like all the items and stuff change.
Yeah.
And so in the market specifically was like, damn, Halloween is like a profit. And different businesses and stuff started like in the States, it's like fucking pumpkin spice everything comes out like in the autumn. And so in Japan, they obviously do like pumpkin spice, but they also play around with like lots of different stuff. Like every year it's like something new. And if you've ever been to Japan or you know much about it, they're like always like so proud of the fact that they have like 4 seasons. They'd be like, oh, the 4 seasons of Japan. So with this like introduction to Halloween, it added more to like the essence of autumn that they could do with that from like a marketing perspective. Yeah, what did you find?
So I was, like I mentioned before, I was trying to cross-reference my own experience with like the research and how they brought it in. And yeah, I think I came to similar points with yours. It was brought in as a marketing thing. It was brought in as this seasonal hype, basically, to get people to purchase things. It's just like Valentine's Day. It's just like Christmas.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, Valentine's Day, you gotta buy chocolates, and then you just peer pressure the entire society to buy chocolates. It's like that.
Right.
Except that this time it's like, oh, for the next month, Don Quixote will have all these trashy Halloween costumes for you to buy, and that works really well. And all of a sudden, every company across every single street in Ikebukuro just switches color schemes to like a darker horror themed Halloween thing. So they just switch just like that. It's almost like changing clothes, and it's insane. But one thing I wanted to research as well was why is it that it was way more of a celebration than the horror aspect? Like when you compare it to like other countries and how they celebrate Halloween, we still see those horror movies. We still see those implications. We still see the sort of element of fear that's added as like a spice to Halloween. But there, like in Japan, it's very, very commoditized. It's just like, oh, right, pretend to be scary, and then that's all it is. And I came across an article from Kokugakuin University on Japanese social phenomena from a global perspective. And the question says, Japanese people like to tell ghost stories during the summer. In the United States, we do so during the Halloween season. What's the rationale behind this difference, or what's behind this difference? So so I'll read up some parts of this because this is a very, very interesting piece, and I'll definitely add this to the show notes.
Send that to me.
Yeah, you can. I'll send it to the chat here, but I'll read up a little bit of a quote for those listening in. In a nutshell, Japanese people believe that the souls of the deceased come back to this world in summer, which is a huge parallel with, the Day of the Dead, right? So except the Day of the Dead is somewhere in the summer, somewhere when it's blistering hot. According to, oh goodness me, let me just see if I can get this right with proper references. According to this article, quote, it is said that people tell chilling ghost stories during the summer because they want to cool off with spine-tingling tales. And I don't know if that's just like marketing bullshit just to spice up that sentence. But in Japan, they have a word to describe the season of horror in summer. There's like a specific time period where ghost stories, horror movies, and all that stuff happen. And it's called kaidan. So that's all the shit that happens, and it happens only throughout summer, when spiritual phenomena is at its most highest. So that's when you bring the smoke out. That's when it happens. So that doesn't coincide with the Halloween part, which further pushes on the, I guess, the hypothesis here that like Halloween is definitely more celebratory than it is a horror themed spiritual event to look at from that perspective, because Japan has split that part into two. I guess you wouldn't really want to, like, other than the people actually releasing ghost stories in movies and all that, people I guess don't really want to like, dress up as a slit mouth woman during kaidan, because that would be so fucking messed up if that actually happened. Yeah, so there's a few other parts of this article. The timing also coincides with specific kabuki performances, which tell the tales of like people who are murdered, and then the story plays out where they become ghosts and they harbor some revenge. So basically that's like kabuki season, where people are like entering those plays or watching those plays rather. So they've already established their scare moment for the year.
Yeah.
And then after that is like, oh, let's make light of that by turning Tokyo into a giant club on the streets of Shibuya, and everybody is cosplaying as their favorite zombie sexy nurse outfit.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because Japanese culture is like seeped in like tales of like yokai and all of these things. Um so having that incorporated in like Halloween, it wouldn't be anything really honestly that different to like their day to day. They have
Yep.
like, what is it? The Bone Festival. That's like their time when they're kind of like chasing away like the demons and things like that. Um they already have so many like holidays and festivals and things associated with that spirit aspect that like with the West, it's like we ignore that stuff like all year round. People like don't want to talk about it. They don't want to accept like the otherworldly for the most part, unless it's just this like October time, and then suddenly like it's okay to kind of like dabble in that a little bit. So whereas Japan, I could see like why that's not like special, why that's not like a highlighted like theme. But yeah, let's talk about how like fucking Tokyo and Osaka get down. Let's talk about their versions of Halloween.
Yeah. Where do we start? Oh God.
Let's talk about like, cause we started with like our experience of what like how we came to know Halloween. So like run me through like your experience of Halloween in Japan.
Well, oh boy. Let me see how many names I should omit. Right. Okay. So it was second semester, so it was the semester that we were in Rikyo at the same time. And then Halloween is essentially a giant hedonistic party across Tokyo, at least. I'm not sure about Osaka. I don't know, maybe you can share that, but like it was like that for from how I saw it. And a lot of the yabai stuff happened in the last week, and in particular that weekend where where Halloween day fall on either Friday or Saturday. I can't remember the exact day, but I mean, if you trace back on the calendar, I'm sure you can find it. But it was definitely this specific weekend. And I think I remember maybe 2 weeks or something before that week, there were news articles in safety and rules and regulations on partying in Shibuya. So like the government had to mandate how to party during this part, this, which is insane. So to clarify, a lot of the shit happened in Shibuya. So as noted by those who haven't gone to Japan yet, or those spots, the famous Shibuya crossing, they will block off that road or that main road, and they won't allow any vehicles in except those that are going to party. Or basically, if you're going to bring your vehicle in, it's not going to be moving for the next few hours or days or whatever it is. What happens is that whole area becomes this giant ass outdoor club for people to be doing whatever the fuck they're going to be doing. So I think we were going to go to we're going to go club hopping or something like that, maybe like 1 or 2 clubs. And we had a big group. I think it was like 9 to 10 people. And we all dressed up. I just found some trashy costume. I mentioned it earlier. Oh, there's also the oh my god, there's also the competition one, but I think I can bring that up in a bit. Yeah, so I bought that trashy costume from Don Quixote, splashed fake blood all over myself, put on that suit thing, and then I went out with a whole group of us, and we went to Shibuya, and there were so many people, it became really, really difficult to like move around the town. And I think they employed like 100 policemen or something. I forgot. There's a specific number of officers to help with regulating pedestrian traffic, because that's just how many cosplaying, costume wearing, crazy drunk people were going around partying and dancing, etc. So that was a sweat fest, and people are bringing in like their own speakers, dancing out in public on the streets, and they're jumping on vans. Those vans had speakers, and they were blasting like techno or rave music, and then people had like megaphones, and they were just like partying, etc. It looked like a very colorful riot, but then no one was hurt.
Yeah.
We went from club to club, and I was already drunk halfway through. So by the time that we went into the clubs, it pretty much was like a clubbing night, except that people were just, full on crazy in costumes. So yeah, like I have to say the most Halloween part of that event, not to go too much into what happened, in the late hours, but the most Halloween part of the event was just how Mad Max the whole scene was as you're traversing through the area, because everybody was just wild and free. All of a sudden, people were just animals. It really looked like a concert for the Antwoord, right? Like, like the band. It really, really looked like that. So yeah, that's what I remember at least. What about you?
Let's see. That week, like the week of like Halloween, I remember I was supposed to go to Kyoto and meet up with some of my friends, and then we were going to go to Osaka for Halloween. But I ended up getting like really sick, and so I didn't want to travel. And then so I think for the most part, like that week, like I remember there was like lots of stuff going on. I think people went out like a couple of times. But I didn't, because I was just like feeling dead. And so I remember like the night everyone was going out for like Halloween specifically, I wasn't going to go out. And then I was like in my dorm, and like my room was like right above like the entrance to like our building. And so I remember hearing you guys like leaving, like the group was like leaving. And I remember being like, oh, this may be the only time I get to like experience Halloween in Japan. I'm gonna like go out. I don't know how the fuck I got like dressed so quickly and like put makeup on and shit, but I caught up to you guys somehow. And what did I was wearing this like leotard thing, so like long sleeved leotard. I think it was like a white leopard or something. And I had like a fever. I had no business like being out, but I was like gonna do it. And so we got to Shibuya, and I remember being like, holy fuck, because there's so like it's busy anyway, but on Halloween, I was like, oh my god, like I'd never seen so many people like in one place. And then the police, as you said, they were mostly like concerned about making sure you cross the street where you're supposed to be crossing the street. Yep. So they had these like big towers like set up. Other than that, though, they seemed to like kind of leave people alone. Like I remember thinking that was weird. Like they were, and I'll talk about more of that later, but they just wanted to make sure you were using the crosswalk. Like I felt like that's like the main like thing they were doing there. And I don't remember what club we went into, but we got to like the first club, and I remember like walking in, and the music was like bumping and shit. It was like all like red lights and stuff for Halloween. And I was like, nope. And so I think it was Sid. I was like, hey, I cannot do this. And he's like, Sid's like a sweetheart. So he's like, oh, are you like, what are you like? Do you want me to go like with you or whatever? By this point, like we had taken like the last train out. So it's like I couldn't go home. But I was like, oh, no, like, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. So my Halloween, I was just wandering like the fucking streets of Shibuya and kind of like observing things. And it was pretty cool. Like a lot of the Japanese people, they'll dress up as like one big group of like the same like character. And I think that year in particular, there was like lots of people as bananas for some reason. And I think lots of like Marios and Luigis. But yeah, people were just like scattered all over the place, and like lots of people would have like their own boombox with them, and they would set up like on a certain like part of the street and just like be drinking and stuff. Because typically in Japan you can drink in public. I think they recently started trying to ban that on Halloween because one year people like flipped a truck or some shit. So I think sometimes on Halloween they try to say you can't drink in the public. But I remember one spot I was sitting for like a little while. There was this like group of people they had like a convertible, and they were just like doing like donuts in the street, like driving up and down and like doing donuts and stuff like that. And I remember thinking like, how are they like not getting in trouble for that? Like, but and then again, like the cops, they're literally just like there being like, use the crosswalk. Like all this other fucking shenanigans going on, it's like fucking free game, but like use the crosswalk. There were like a lot of like street performers out and stuff that night, like people like dancing and playing music and stuff like that. And I remember like it was just really fascinating, like to kind of just watch everyone kind of just like out and about expressing themselves, because I feel like with Japanese culture you kind of have to be a little in the public eye anyway, you have to be pretty like put together. But on this particular night everybody's just like fucking balls to the wall. And I don't know why I don't think about this more often when people talk about like culture shock with me. And I remember waiting for like the first train, because I was thinking like the very first train wouldn't be that busy because I figured people would still be like partying like really hard. I was wrong. Like usually first train is kind of like the sad like solo, like you're just fucking tired out, like going home, like you just see everyone like hungover. Typically like first train home, it's just like a dead thing. No, I get on this like train and it's like sardine can like packed, and I remember, I wonder if these people ever like remember me, because I remember this like so horrifyingly. But I ended up getting pushed into this group of like Korean boys, and there were a couple of them like sitting and then the rest of them standing, so I'm like in the middle of this group. And so in the trains there's like the seats and you have like the handles, and so I was like with the handles, and already like I'm kind of like straddling this one guy's like leg, like we're all like in here really like just packed, and I'm already kind of like, oh man, this is weird, because again like I'm straight ass sober like this whole night. And the train starts going, and this is just like one of my favorite memories of Japan for some reason. But as the train, like everyone's still high energy, no one's like the depressed sort of like, oh, what did I do tonight kind of tired that like usually is on the first train. Everyone's like fucking still Genki. And so as the train is like moving, everyone is like moving with the train, and everyone is like having fun. So as it's like going around curves and stuff, everyone's like, whoa, whoa, and they're like laughing and like having fun, and everyone's like waving around. But as like the pressure pushes one way, people are like pushing on me, and I'm like small, I can't like hold my own weight. And so each time the weight comes like over to me, I'm getting pushed more onto this like poor fucking guy, literally like in his lap, like straddling him, like pushing on the window, like like try not to make eye contact, like so strange. But it was fine. They weren't weird about it or anything, but like I think about that a lot, like, do they ever think of me? We have like a special connection now. But but yeah, that was
their version of Halloween is going to be very different.
This fucking small girl with her like ass cheeks out in a leopard leotard, Ugh. Yeah, that was Halloween for me. And then my friends told me about like Osaka. Apparently Osaka was like wild. Like on par with like Tokyo, but I think it just doesn't get like publicized as much to the outside world because everyone's like only obsessed with Tokyo. But apparently like Osaka goes pretty hard too.
Oh no, Osaka people can party like hell. No, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Whenever my friends talk to me about like Kyoto and Osaka, and I say this with the like utmost respect. I am always like, oh, that is like the gangster side of like Japan. Like when I think of like Kyoto and Osaka, I think of like Detroit in like America, where I'm just like, that is just like the gritty fucking hard people. Like, because some of the experiences that my friends will say that they had over in that region, I'm like, damn, I kind of wish I would have studied over there.
It's that Kansai energy, you know, like I think like we know a few Kansai people that came to Rikyo, and like if they don't have the chance to speak in their own dialect, it sometimes feels a bit muted. I think they have to like tone it down a bit because they're like, oh, I have to fit into Tokyo context, right? But then like you talk to someone like Nobu, and then all of a sudden when he gets riled up, he's like full on like
Kansai
dialect, and he's like more what's the word for it? Like rowdy, but like in a fun way, in a great way, because they really embody that energy a lot more. And I have a feeling that if we were trying to take this kind of energy, like I think when if we were to take our group and do like an Asakadai squad clubbing trip to Osaka, I think we would have competition. Like the locals in Osaka are gonna have, they're gonna be like oh shit.
The Kansai people, I feel, talk in a way that like I talk. Like in Tokyo, everyone's kind of like passive and like polite and a little more hesitant to kind of like speak their truth. Where in Kansai, it's like, if my impression, I didn't spend a lot of time there, but like my impression is like they'll just fucking like tell you how it is, like not afraid to like express themselves. And like that's the kind of like people that I fuck with. So it would be fun to like go there and like spend some like decent time.
1 month in Osaka would be interesting, or 1 month in Kansai. We can try that sometime.
Daily vlogs. My 1 month in Kansai.
Oh shit, 30 days of Kansai. Oh, that'd be great. It'll be like, oh, we have to relearn Japanese, and then it'll be like every vlog, every day it'll be just us trying to learn like Kansai Ben. And we'll be like, oh, we're fucking up our orders. Like, oh shit, what did he say? Oh no, what did she say? Oh shit.
We should do that. We'll plan a 1 month trip in Kansai.
Are they angry? No, they're just happy. They're just really, really excited about it. Oh shit.
It'll just be me every day in a corner, like eating takoyaki.
Yeah, or like okonomiyaki. Oh my god. Great.
Okay, so why get back on track here?
Yeah.
Why do you think, how do I want to word this? Why do you think Halloween is celebrated that way? Like why do you think people go like so hard like on Halloween?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't know. I was trying to think of like possible explanations, because as we were exploring it like throughout this episode, Halloween is commoditized as this day where companies put a theme, people buy things according to the theme, and then you end it on a high note, right? So when you compare those special days throughout like a Japanese year where you have these special things happening, none of them are as high energy, intense, crazy, wild, Mad Max as Halloween. And I don't know why. Like there's no single part about Halloween. Like I don't think there is like a day in the US where it's like, oh, this is the day where you can just riot and the police will never ever like pin you down for doing so, right? You can't just like,
if
like
anything, people are more strict here on Halloween in what they'll see you jaywalking and it's like,
yeah, exactly. And then it'll be, there will be a consequence. But for some reason, like the culture in Japan has just constructed Halloween as this day where you're just given a free pass to do donuts on the road. You can like go on a full ride. You can knock vans over, and all the officers are just like, because you just reminded me of the towers that like these officers are standing on. They're like lifeguards, right? They're just like lifeguards, like. And this is like Shibuya is just a giant swimming pool, and there's just all these kids, and they're just wearing costumes, right? All of a sudden Shibuya becomes this swimming pool, and people they just have free reign to do everything. It's just like a theme park. They just treat Halloween like a theme park. And I have no clue why Japan allows that. You would think that you would have different levels of moderation throughout the year. It would be like, oh, why isn't there a crazy Valentine's Day clubbing insane Shibuya closure event? Why not Christmas? Right. I mean, New Year's I think is quite standard across the world. But like, why not? Why is it specifically Halloween? And I still don't know, even until now. I really don't know. And I think I've tried to. I asked this actually. I asked a few Japanese friends, like in October during the time when we were about to get ready for this. I was like, why? And I think we can probably talk about that competition as well. Because I was asking them, I was like, why is Halloween like this here? And even they are like, we don't know. It just so happens that Halloween is the day that is chosen where the greatest ghosts of all time, and that is human beings in their most feral form, are just allowed to go. Like, that's the Day of the Dead for human beings. They're just the spirits can possess them, and they'll just like fuck shit up for 12 hours. And for some reason in Japan that's just allowed, or that's okay.
It kind of makes me think of, I was thinking about this while you were talking, but like, you know those movies like The Purge, where it's like you have that one day a year you can go out and like kill people, no consequences.
Yeah.
This is like, Halloween is like a Japanese non-violent version of like The Purge, where it's like you just get to go out for just like one night a year and be just like fucking crazy. And this is all just me theorizing, but like, because even in like the States, for example, some people really love Halloween because they feel like it's like the one time a year where they can kind of like be themselves and like not be judged, or you get to express certain parts of yourself that are otherwise not normally like accepted. Like there's always like back and forth on it, but like you can express a pretty wide range of like sexuality when it like comes to Halloween, whether you're like male, female, non-binary, or whatever. You get to really like express your like sexuality, like just open tier. And in Japan, I find it like interesting because like women typically are more a little bit more modest than like in the States, because they get perceived so harshly for being like anything but. And so when Halloween came around, I didn't expect to see like a lot of girls dressed up in ways that like you would see girls in the States. But it's like everybody was just like here, like even like friends of ours that like I wouldn't expect. I wouldn't think like that they would be even interested in that. And they like get all like dressed up and are cute and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, cool. Or I don't know, like I feel that night just offers like a sense of freedom that you probably like otherwise don't feel. And it's like you add alcohol into the mix, and you know, it loosens you up even fucking more. But whether it's on a conscious level or not, I think that it just kind of became a time where people could just like let loose, perhaps. And it's nice to do that. Like whether it's like going crazy partying or letting loose in like other ways. Like everybody has those like stress relievers. And so sometimes I think maybe in Japan, because it is like so structured, having just like that one day of the year where it can just be like there's like no structure at all. Just make sure you use the crosswalk. Like maybe there's like something nice
crosswalk.
I can't get over it.
I feel like
I can't, like, that's literally like the only rule. Like the only rule on Halloween night is like use the fucking crosswalk.
I think I genuinely do not remember that part. I remember the officers. I just remember people just not caring about it. Maybe at that point, maybe it was at that point people started like going crazy. So maybe I just don't remember much. Also, I was drunk, so I can't trust my own memory. Also, listening to you, there is another thing that I'm also contemplating as a factor is the costuming aspect. So Japan has a huge cosplay culture, and there's also the saving face culture here. What that means is that if you want to explore a different part of yourself, you don't want to associate that with maybe your day identity. That's why we have a lot of cosplayers who, take on pseudonyms or different names, and, you put on layers of makeup and a completely different wig and outfit, and all of a sudden you look like somebody else, which is a great way to hide your hobbies from your day-to-day self. When you have the combination of everybody talking about this one special day, available costumes, closures and permissions to go wild, and this collectivist permission that you can go wild as long as you're celebrating it, all of that adds up to this very easy barrier to get over in terms of, if all I need to get permission to do anything I want is just some makeup and a shitty costume, then all I have to do is just be part of that, and then I now have it's like a golden ticket. I now have permission to do whatever I want, and that amplifies when literally everyone else in the city is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So, a good example or a good analogy is, and maybe you've seen this in your uni. If I see someone cosplaying in my uni campus, that's gonna be pretty awkward. Like that's gonna stand out. But then, if this person is surrounded by a group, it's not that bad. And then if a whole campus or a whole city of people is also dressing up, then it doesn't look like it would be awkward. So it's just this like collective group of nods and yeses and be like, yep, you're okay.
Yeah.
You can be a demon now, right? You can embrace your demons. You can be your boy, and then just start going ham for this one night. It's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's a lot of reassurance, and then being like, yes, you're allowed. So now you can go. Maybe that's how it resulted in this.
That was something that I thought was like unique for like a Japan Halloween, because in general, I would say like Japanese society is pretty like collective. You don't want to like stand out at all, and even to the point of like if you're like, I remember in the winter it was like everybody had the same fucking winter jacket. Like people really do their best to blend in and not stand out even in like the fucking slightest. And so I thought it was interesting because in the States, you'll have some groups that they do kind of like a group theme where it'll be like, oh, we're gonna be the fucking Spice Girls, or like let's be the Three Blind Mice. Like people can have like a group theme, but for the most part it's pretty like individual. You decide like what you want, whereas in Japan, especially with groups of like I assume female identifying it's like that whole group will be like the same thing. And then they go out in that group. And on one end, I can understand because I'm a pretty like self-conscious person. And so as you were saying, like if there's like one person dressed up one way, like if the one girl is like a schoolgirl in a group of people that are dressed up as grapes, then like she's gonna like stand out, you know.
Why grapes?
And so like a lot of times when you see like a group of people that are out partying, they'll all be dressed as like the same thing. It's like a group of like fucking Marios over there, a group of bananas. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
I mean, what better way to be weird than to be weird together, right? Like you want your squad, like if you and your gang identifies as yabai, you're bound to express that in some way, shape, or form. So
if a Sakadai were to do a group costume, what do you think would suit for that term we were there together?
For our term? Okay. Well, 1050.
Oh my god.
If you know the name of if you know the origin of that name, then well, one of us is going to be the toilet, that's for sure. I don't know if I shared that, so I don't know if it's appropriate for this podcast. The origin of the 1050. Maybe I've actually shared it in a previous episode. I don't remember. Anyway,
I don't believe so.
I don't think I shared it. Although I think I've told you before, so we'll just save that. The boys for our semester. That's a good question because we are quite a variety of people. Like if I try to remember all the different costumes that we had, from at least the people we know, not just the Sakadai, right? Like just the people that we know, it varied a lot. It was like Disney princesses. I think Max had a really large duster coat, so he was trying to be some kind of like desperado / cowboy outfit.
Yeah.
OC kind of thing. I remember that. It's very specific. I was just whatever from the shop, and I think a few people else were. Sid was definitely a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's his thing. Darth Sidious, if I remember correctly. That's his.
Yes. Yeah. That was his. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So shout out to Darth Sidious. Let me see if we have to get his permission to post a picture of him as Darth Sidious in the tweet thread. That'd be so and way more. I think it's hard to put it into one theme. I have no clue. I really have no clue. The only potential broad enough theme would be villains, and then each of us would be a different villain.
That'd be fun.
Even then, I wouldn't know what villain I would be. Yeah, I'd probably, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what villain would you be?
Ever since I was like young, I have always wanted to like do like a fucking poison ivy. Like, because when I see people doing that, that's just like so hot. And I feel like Japan, I don't know, it's always so interesting because it's a city like in Tokyo, there's so many people, but in Japan, I always felt like eyes weren't on me, or for whatever reason in the States, I'm like, fuck. So I don't know, maybe if I'm ever in Tokyo again for Halloween, that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be pretty sick, actually, if you could do that. I don't know what's, like, even in general, I don't know what's a good Halloween costume for me. I can't think of any. Yeah. Like, at first I thought of like very stereotypical ones, like a mummy or something like that. Or like a zombie or whatever. But then a lot of effort into that. And I don't know. Like, if say this is Japan Halloween, I definitely would want a suit that would at least help me dance. Like I can dance in that suit. So like, you know me, I go pretty wild and physical everywhere I go. So yeah, I don't want like a super complicated suit that I just can't do anything and I just have to like be too stiff to do anything. Which would honestly be very, very depressing. So I wouldn't want that. So I don't know what kind of. Oh, actually, I have had this like I have like child dreams of being an actor, and I've always wanted to play as villains in a movie. So if I could get like ultra amazing movie makeup and be like, like an alien from Alien versus Predator, or like some kind of like crazy ass monster, but it's like tight suit level, so I can still do like dance moves. Oh, I would be set. I don't care about people anymore. I would just be like a creepy monster thing, and I would just do that. I would be very happy.
Yeah, I always find Halloween like really difficult because like, first of all, I always want to be hot. Like I want to be like a sexy bitch. But then it's like, I don't know, like I'm like that stereotypical, like I'll get like dressed in this like nice thing and I'll be feeling fucking fresh. And then like I'm about to leave and then I realize people are going to see me. And then I'm like self-conscious.
Yeah.
So typically with like Halloweens, I'm like a super fucking lazy and I'm like, buy cat ears and figure something out from there. And that's like just the easiest thing to do. And then also like I'm very like sensitive to like makeup, like how it feels. I don't like to like wear makeup. And if you're partying like in Japan, you're not just going to like a house party for a couple hours, like you're fucking out for the night. I'm actually because it's New Year's, the trains run all night. I'm surprised they don't do that for Halloween in the city. But yeah, and then plus like if you're going out like clubbing and stuff, like you're obviously going to like sweat and things like that. So I would be more like also concerned how that was gonna like hold up. But I think same, like something just like really comfortable to like move in. Like the girls that go out in like really fucking big heels and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I'm thinking about, man, you gotta be out here for like 5-6 hours, like walking and dancing in those. Comfort and like hotness, I feel.
I have an answer for you, and it's the one that I wore for the competition, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you'd wear that though, but yeah. So Don Quixote is an amazing shop. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
Would go again. They have a wide variety of costumes, and one of them is this one that I purchased. So in Rikyo, we have this circle or club. What do you call that? Extracurricular club called Join Us, and Join Us is the cultural exchange club for university. And it's just a number of international students as well as Japanese students, and they do events together. One of them is a Halloween party, and they have a Halloween costume competition where you go in, you dress you go in dressed up already, and then you mingle and whatever, and it's a party with like food and drinks and whatever, and then at the end you have a ranking. So just like any other costume party or costume competition. So I went in as a Playboy bunny with a green wig and bunny ears on my head. And I borrowed one of the students' makeup kits to do my own makeup, because I can do my own makeup because I used to cosplay back in Australia. So I did my mascara, eyeliner, foundation, etc. And I transformed basically
into a bunny girl.
A bunny girl. I even wore what do you call that? Leggings? No.
Fishnets?
Yeah, fishnets. Yeah, fishnets. Yeah, like tights, I guess, tights or something like that. Yeah. Stockings. Sorry, stockings. Yeah, that's the right word.
Stockings.
Yeah. So I wore stockings, and then my Playboy bunny outfit, and then my wig and everything. And I went there. Now, the funny thing is, I mean, I gotta say, I didn't look bad in that outfit. And
if I must say so myself,
if I must, I'm not gonna brag, but I'm gonna brag. And no. So the reason why I'm saying is because there was something that happened on the way to the party, because the party itself was booked at this place that wasn't really far from the uni. I stayed in uni and then I changed there and I did the makeup, whatever. On my way out of the uni, I passed by a classroom and that had a couple of Japanese students. I don't know them at all. I just passed by the room and they were just happened to be talking about Halloween because that was around the time it was going to happen. I passed by the room and one of the guys saw and it was like, Playboy da. And he said it in a way where he thought that he saw a Playboy, like a girl dressed up as a Playboy bunny. But then he saw me and like this Playboy bunny suit it's quite revealing. So like,
right.
And I was like a lot thinner and like, shall we say, a little bit more toned than usual. So my shoulders were kind of pretty obviously very male. So when I saw him, I'm just like, what are you lking at? Like, and he didn't have anything to say. He just has this shocked look on his face, like, oh. And then I walked away. So let's just say that I do confuse the boys when I cross dress, and I was quite proud of that. And in that party, I won second place. So damn, if I gotta look good to a certain degree for me to get second place. So quite proud of that.
Oh my god.
I could have worn that actually for Halloween. That would have been pretty funny. Like going out.
That would have been funny, yeah.
Yeah.
Have like a nip slip or two.
Oh, right. Yeah, so that suit, that costume is meant to be it's in women's size. Obviously, it's not meant to be for male size, but like it's in women's size. So the like the what do you call that? Like the invisible strap kept like slipping off or coming off, or it was stretching. So it was actually loosening up. So if I wore that any longer, it would have like I would have been arrested, I guess.
Wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah. Malfunction. But yeah, I gotta say, when I'm dressed in that Playboy bunny outfit, I'm quite dangerous.
You feel top tier.
I am yabai as fuck. I identify as yabai when I'm wearing that.
I always thought about getting one of those. I like to. Is this weird? No, it's not weird. I like to like dress up on my own, like when it's just me chilling, I got some time to kill and you want to like look hot for yourself. I'll just like dress up in my room and be like, damn, look at you, girl. And I remember going through a phase of like, yeah, I'll get like a Playboy bunny outfit. Yeah. But now there's that what's that anime?
Naruto.
It's like No. It's like
which one?
Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Senpai. It's like a long title. It's something like that.
Right. Is that the one with the bunny girl ghost?
She's kind of, yeah, sort of.
Yeah, okay.
There's like I think that anime in like the past year or two it got like pretty popular. And so I was seeing like lots of girls online like cosplaying as her. And guys too, because luckily enough, things like gender and the constructs that come with that are kind of being like broken down. So I see actually like a lot of guys these days like cosplaying as like sexy feminine maids and bunny girls and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. I wonder what Halloween in Japan will look like this year with like the like pandemic and what did they do anything last year?
I'm not sure. But there are some articles about Halloween in Japan 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
There are still street parties. And yeah, it looks like there are still street parties. So I think they're still pretty insane, but probably dialed down just because of COVID, etc. But like, if you're a party goer, you can't just like stop yourself from doing that, especially on a very crazy night like this. So there's
Right,
gonna
right,
be
right.
a lot of people gonna be like, doing some friendly rioting during Japan Halloween. Probably not for
Mm,
2020, but maybe this year, which is
mm,
actually coming up soon. Or like by the
yeah.
time, well, we're recording this a little bit early, but by the time this episode is out, well, hopefully if I can finish editing it, we're gonna hear some yabai ass stories. So let's see how that goes.
Mm,
I think there's gonna be we're gonna see more of people bringing the ruckus to the Shibuya crossing once
right,
again.
right. Letting loose
Yeah,
tenfold.
people might be doing more like virtual events, but other than that, I think people just want to go back on the streets and actually party.
I would want to.
Yeah, me too. Like I really want to do like I have done those impulse trips to come to Japan during October,
Yeah,
and it's been fucking insane. So
jealous.
I don't know how it is now, but I can't wait for maybe, I don't know, like maybe a year or two, maybe 2 to 3 years down the line, to just suddenly be at Shibuya Crossing and then wearing my whatever the fuck costume.
We'll do like a Sakurai reunion during Halloween.
Oh, do you want to do that? Oh, that'd be so sick. Oh,
Everybody's like parents and shit, like now.
that's what Jason did, actually. God, I'm gonna call you out, Jason. Holy shit. What was like impulse trip to October, and then I just casually mentioned it to Jason, and then he's just like, I'm coming too. And then we fucking flew. He flew to like another city, took a transit, and he flew like 15 hours or something. And then we just happened to arrive during Halloween time together. I'm like, oh my God, it was insane. So definitely a Sakurai reunion. Like, I think if
Yeah.
you just compel everybody in a Sakurai, they will come. I think they will. Yeah.
I feel like some people wouldn't take like that much convincing. Like I feel like with enough notice, probably like Saba and Sid, like hands down, would be like, fuck yeah, like let's go.
1050 would definitely be into it. I don't know. I'll have to ask Eric, see how he's doing. It's been a while. So I don't know if he's let's just say I don't know if he's a little bit more responsible nowadays, but
I feel like everybody is. Everybody back in their home countries, they're like it's like night and day.
yeah, they've grown up. They have stuff they have to do.
Yeah, responsibilities.
While we're here talking about like drinking our ass off on Shibuya Crossing.
I mean, we have our like own things going on, but I feel like the people that have gone off and like got married and have started having kids, it's a little more serious. They have to be a little more serious than the like at least in our like downtime we can still be like stupid. We don't have constant responsibility. There's just like work stuff that needs to be done.
Yeah, it just means that the barrier to returning to that mode is higher, but still not impossible, right? It's just okay, given the right timing, if you have enough energy as well, if you're not too tied down to specific things, then maybe you can still celebrate Japanese Halloween, which I feel like saying Japanese Halloween sounds like a synonym for let's get fucked up and then like pass out on the street. Like that's probably a good way of doing it.
Yeah, they have those like I don't condone this. I really don't like that people will like take pictures of random people and post them on the internet. But they have those sites like Shibuya Meltdown and stuff like that, those like profiles. And I feel like you could get like all of your content like 2 years worth just from like spending Halloween in Shibuya and like documenting that.
Yeah, you see humans in their most natural instinct when that happens. People just go crazy. And I love it. Like I think next time when maybe it just depends on the group I'll be with, but like next time if I'm there, I really want to I really want to walk around the streets more. Like, I want to see what happens outside more. It's a bit hard because, you know, so many people are moving at the same time, and it's just not comfortable staying in one spot, especially when people are like, you know, going to and fro. But just noticing those small intricacies of people just being wild out in public. I'm not sure if I'm saying this and it implies something dangerous, but seeing them do something crazy, like, you know, jump on vans to like dance to music, etc., makes me want to do the same in a metaphorical way. Almost
it's like liberating.
Yeah. It's like liberation.
Yeah. And I feel, and I can understand like the stress. There's like a psychological like term for this sort of thing, but you know, like when everyone's being like super rowdy and stuff, I understand the risk of things like getting out of control. But in situations where it's like no one's like getting hurt or stuff like that, I think it's really nice to be able to see people cut loose like so much, like dance on cars and then do stuff like that. It's nice to see people just not giving a fuck about, you know, having to present themselves like a certain way.
So here's a question. Do you prefer the Halloween where there's trick-or-treating, there's that horror element, there's that, you know, there's that devil's night, there's this mix between spiritual connection and fear? Or do you prefer this hedonistic embodiment of your demons and you become the horrors that you've been afraid of, and then you just throw it out there for people to enjoy with other people who are doing the same?
I think that like I can have it all. Because something like with Halloween, it's not just a day really, it's like a season.
Yeah.
And so the whole season you get to have that aspect of, you know, the like spiritual and things like that. But then as far as I see, like, why not just have one of those days be a day where people can just like have fun and, you know, minus the like horror aspect. Like, I don't want people to like go out and be like actual like purging. But you know, if you're just like going out to have like drinks with friends and you want to like dance on top of a car, I don't think we need to like flip vans over and stuff, but like if you want to like dance on a car or, you know, whatever, I think that should be fine. You want to sit on Hachiko, you know, don't like damage property and stuff like that, but just like go out and have fun and not care. I think that's fine. I think people should be allowed to do that from time to time.
Yeah, I would probably want both as well, provided that modicum of respect is there. I would also dissociate it a little bit from Halloween, like that kind of permission. It would probably be a completely different day, just because it's just so confusing. I don't know what you would call it, like, I don't know, Sinner's Day or something, or like the Day of Dante's Inferno. I don't know what the fuck. Like, you're just gonna go through all forms of like sin. It's just like, oh, lust, greed, like, you know, sloth, and you're just fucking up in all 7 layers or 8 or however many layers it is in the book. But I would think that having a day like that and then making it consistent around the world would be crazy. Like, what if the entire world celebrates that day at the same time? It would just be 24 hours. It's just this cycle of just breakdown of society temporarily, this respite. It's just chaos everywhere, and then we're back to normal the next day. I think that would be so sick. It'd be so awesome.
Organized chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if it's something like the first of, I don't know, what's a good day, I don't know, like the 1st of December or something like that, right? It'll be like, oh, 1st of December. Obviously, New Zealand's gonna be fucking up the first one because they're forward time zone, right? And then like,
right.
So like Sid is gonna be like, I don't know, drinking vodka out of a swimming pool or some shit. I don't know.
Oh my god.
And then slowly but surely, it's like organized chaos. And then as the time zone clears, it's like New Zealand, then Australia, then Japan, then Asia, then like Europe, then like America at the end. It will be like so crazy. And the best part would be if there's a constant live stream and you can just like have security cameras of people going apeshit crazy and you can just follow this. I think that'd be so awesome. That'd be so sick.
It would be. And then I don't know, it's sad. Like, it's sad we can't do stuff like that because there's always going to be like the shitty people, you know, that like want to be extreme in like negatively impacting ways. So of course, like governments and public security and everything, they would probably never like be game for something like that, especially with like the whole world, like. But that would be interesting, just one day where certain rules just like don't apply.
That's why
non-violent.
Like that's why it's more surprising that Japan Halloween is like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Japanese government or like the governance or like the culture, probably one of the most orderly places ever. It's like, yeah, you can break everything just as long as it's respectable,
fine.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just like, just make sure you respect your elders and make sure you say please, and you can just fuck shit up any way you want.
Use the crosswalk.
Yeah, and use the crosswalk, right? Just look left and right and then fuck shit up forward. It's so ironic and it's fantastic. And for us to see something coordinated that well across the world would mean that the UN has to accept that organized chaos. They have to discuss it and be like, hey, I think this day is really good because that's when we fuck shit up the most according to the forecast of chaos. Right. People will be like, yes, I vote correct. Yes, that's true.
Oh my god.
Malaysia says yes. Like so strange, but that'll be fantastic, But all the day's work of finding ways for humans to liberate themselves, whether it's through like a costume, location, music, or infrastructure. It's just really fascinating to see this, and it's just great to look at Halloween from this perspective. A very different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Right. We are coming off time, but is there anything else on your mind that you want to share before we wrap things up?
I don't think so.
Okay. Right. From slit mouth women to clubbing on the street to Playboy bunnies and just this overall outlook on, shall we say, tempering the chaos within someone and actually allowing that to happen for like this one special night is quite a wide variety of stuff that we talked about in this episode. So I think we'll just leave it for there. For those of us who have been listening to our tangents and our roller coaster ride of conversation throughout this episode, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Kanpai Chronicles with your host, Norman and
Holly.
If you've listened to this episode, actually, here's a prompt. If you've listened to this episode, tell us, what did you do? What was the craziest thing you did for Halloween? And then you can just let us know by tweeting at us at Kanpai Chronicles, or in the YouTube version of this episode, you can just comment and we can have a look at it down below, and maybe we'll even bring it up in the upcoming episodes. So, with that being said, maybe for the next Halloween, I will cosplay as Shibuya.
Oh my god, no! It'll just be like blurred, just a blurred image.
It'll just be a censored thing. Or a hot waterfall daddy, and I'll just have people throwing buckets of water at me.
So a little like sprinkler.
And I will showcase my yabai-ness on the streets of Shibuya another time. But for now, we will see you in the next episode. Thank you, and
bye-bye.